Welcome back, focused learners. Let's jump right into this explainer. Today, we're unpacking something literally terrifying, the exact meticulous mechanics of absolute total power. I mean, how does a state get to a point where it dictates not just the laws, but actual reality itself? Well, we're going to break down exactly how that level of mind-bending control is achieved step by step. So, we're looking at George Orwell's classic, 1984. But we're not just reading it as some bleak dystopian fiction. No, we're treating it as what it really is, a brilliant, analytical blueprint of psychological and physical control. The system Orwell outlines is so incredibly airtight, it doesn't just tell people what to do. It literally dictates what they are capable of thinking. Consider this iconic opening line, which is so famous because it instantly messes with us. The clocks were striking 13. Right off the bat, that tells us reality itself is fundamentally off-kilter. It's our first big clue that we are entering a world where the standard rules of nature, time, and basic logic have just been completely overridden by a higher unnatural authority. And then there are these paradoxes. War is peace. Freedom is slavery. Ignorance is strength. Just let those sink in for a second. They're carved right into the massive white concrete of the Ministry of Truth, and obviously they make zero sense at first glance. But over the course of this explainer, we're going to see exactly how a state forces millions of citizens not just to accept these blatant contradictions, but to genuinely, truly believe them. All right, let's start with our first pillar of control, the physical world of Oceania, the reality our main guy, Winston Smith, actually lives in. It is a world of extreme, jarring contrasts. Down on the ground, you've got the decaying infrastructure of London, or Airstrip 1 as they call it. We're talking crumbling 19th century houses, malfunctioning elevators, chronic shortages of basic stuff like razor blades, and this permanent lingering smell of boiled cabbage. But look up, and you see these massive, glittering, high-tech structures of oppression soaring 300 meters into the sky. And the government running those massive structures? It's the ultimate exercise in state gaslighting. It's built on 4 ministries, and the irony here is just incredibly dark. The Ministry of Truth, they actually specialize in lies and forged documents. The Ministry of Peace is strictly focused on endless, perpetual war. The Ministry of Plenty oversees starvation and strict rationing. And then there's the Ministry of Love. It's this windowless, terrifying fortress surrounded by hidden machine gun nests, and yeah, it serves as the center for torture and execution. So that brings us to the second pillar, because to maintain that kind of intense grip on a population, the party has to make sure that every single citizen knows, deep in their bones, that they are never, ever alone. You've probably heard this phrase, "Big Brother is watching you." His face and that caption are plastered absolutely everywhere. The crazy part is, the posters are engineered so the dark eyes literally appear to follow you as you move around the room. You simply can't escape it. Big Brother is watching you on the streets, inside your apartment building, and his face is even stamped on the loose change in your pocket and your cigarette packets. But the real terror? It's this mandatory device called the telescreen. Imagine a smart TV in your living room that you are legally not allowed to turn off, and it watches you right back. It babbles nonstop propaganda, 24/7, sure, but more importantly, it has a camera and a microphone. And you never know when the thought police are tapped into your specific feed. Because of this, citizens have to develop this terrifying instinctual habit. They literally have to live every single second assuming every breath they take is heard and every tiny movement is being actively scrutinized. Okay, so they control the physical space, but that's not enough. Which brings us to the third pillar, controlling the past itself. The party has a chilling motto: who controls the past controls the future. Who controls the present controls the past. Think about it. If reality only exists in human memory and written records, well then whoever controls those records completely controls reality. Let me show you how this plays out in Winston's day-to-day job at the Ministry of Truth. Let's say the government makes a rock-solid promise not to cut the chocolate ration. Then they decide to cut it anyway. Winston takes that original promise, physically drops it into a furnace called a memory hole, and replaces it with a completely fabricated, backdated record. This new record actually celebrates the fact that the ration has been raised to 20 grams. It is state-mandated shrinkflation on steroids. And the wildest part? The population just accepts it immediately. They completely ignore what they were promised just 24 hours ago. And this daily rewriting of history scales up into something way more sinister: the absolute erasure of human beings. When a party official falls out of favor, let's say a guy named Comrade Withers, Winston doesn't just redact his name. He literally eradicates Withers from the historical record. Winston completely invents a fake perfect party loyalist named Comrade Ogilvy and dictates a totally fictional life story for him to replace Withers' records. Once that's done, Withers becomes an unperson. Legally and historically, he never even existed. Now, to survive in a society where reality is spinning and changing every single day, citizens have to use a mental survival technique called doublethink. This is honestly the ultimate psychological trap. It's this weird hypnotic process where a person has to consciously induce unconsciousness. You have to willingly forget a hard fact, adopt the party's brand new lie as absolute truth, and then completely forget that you ever forgot anything in the first place. It's cognitive dissonance, weaponized to absolute perfection. Which leads us right into the fourth pillar, the destruction of language. Now, this mechanism of control doesn't happen out in the streets. It happens entirely inside the linguistic architecture of the human mind. The party's logic is terrifyingly simple. You cannot commit a crime against the state if you literally do not possess the words to form the rebellious thought. They achieve this through Newspeak, the official language of Oceania. As Winston's colleague, a language expert named Syme, enthusiastically explains, the whole point of Newspeak is to actively shrink the dictionary every single year. The end goal is to make rebellion, what they call thought crime, completely, literally impossible. Because eventually there just won't be any words left to express a dissenting idea. I mean, why keep nuance? Why have synonyms or antonyms? If you have the word good, you really don't need the word bad. You can just say ungood, and it perfectly covers the meaning. Want to say something is excellent? Just say plus good. The intention here is to strip language down to the absolute bone, entirely removing all shades of meaning, all poetry, and any capacity for complex, critical thought. The whole point of destroying the language is to turn human speech into a mechanical, mindless noise. The book actually uses the term duck speak for this. The party's ideal citizen should be able to just rapid-fire spout political orthodoxy like a duck quacking, sounds coming straight out of the larynx, without ever passing through the higher brain functions. It is the original, ultimate echo chamber. But all of this brings up a really fascinating question. If you strip away complex thought, enforce crushing poverty, feed people terrible food, and leave them rotting in crumbling buildings, how do you stop the masses from eventually exploding and turning all that frustration squarely onto the government? Well, the party solves that with pillar number 5. They weaponize human emotion. They actively hijack basic human connection. They intercept all that powerful biological energy that would normally go into friendships or romantic love or taking care of your family, and they skillfully redirect all of it into pure, abstract, explosive rage. And the methods they use for this emotional hijacking are just so methodical and disturbing. You have the 2 minutes hate, which is this daily, frenzied ritual where citizens gather to literally scream at a screen showing a state enemy, whipping themselves into a terrifying ecstasy of vindictiveness. Then they systematically eradicate romantic love. The Junior Anti-Sex League promotes complete celibacy and teaches people to treat intimacy as just a slightly disgusting duty you owe to the party. By dismantling all private loyalties, the party ensures that all passion, all love, and all fear are directed solely at Big Brother. And honestly, nowhere is this clearer or sadder than in the family unit. In Oceania, it is an agonizing, everyday reality that children are basically state weapons. Characters like Winston's neighbor, Parsons, are proudly, blindly oblivious to the fact that their feral kids are systematically trained spies. These kids are actually handed ear trumpets so they can listen to their parents through keyholes. Mothers live in constant, paralyzing terror of their own offspring, knowing perfectly well that any slight misstep will result in their 7-year-old denouncing them to the thought police. So you take all of these pillars, the constant physical surveillance, the total reality control, the deliberate destruction of language, and the complete weaponization of human emotion, and they all culminate in one ultimate, inescapable trap. It's the essential crime that contains all other crimes inside itself: thought crime. As Winston realizes when he finally gets the nerve to write in a secret diary, once you commit a thought crime, you don't just face execution. Because anything can give you away. A momentary facial twitch, talking in your sleep, looking slightly too stressed, and once you slip up, you're already a dead man. The thought police will inevitably come for you in the middle of the night. You will be vaporized. Your name will be scrubbed from every register. your existence fully denied, and your memory totally, permanently erased. So I want to leave you with Winston's chilling diary reflection to ponder. He's writing this to a future time when thought is free, but he legitimately wonders how it's even possible to communicate with them. I mean, when memory is illegal, when the actual language is shrinking by the day, and when truth is completely mutable, what power does an individual really have? It is a profound, deeply haunting question about the absolute fragility of our own reality. Thanks so much for joining me for this explainer. Keep protecting your own truth, and I'll catch you in the next one.